So let us get started. And as usual, a quick recap in a minute or so, then a round of questions, and then we will continue with the agenda for today. So this is what we were doing in the last class. We had started basic concepts, and within basic concepts, we had taken up two. We had taken up the money measurement concept, and we have taken up separate entity concept. Now, what did money measurement concept say? Very simple. It said that in finance, in accounting, we'll continue to include only those aspects of business which can be represented in monetary terms. Then we also had a small discussion about the pros and cons of having this basic concept. But at the bottom line, that the key takeaway was that whenever you study a financial statement, always keep it in mind that it would have followed a concept called money measurement, and only monetary aspects are included in the financial statements. Then we started discussing about the entity concept, slightly subtle one to do so. Entity concept simply said that whenever we prepare financial statement, irrespective of the ownership type, we always treat the business as a separate entity and the owner as a separate entity. And whenever we prepare the financial statement, we prepare it from the perspective or the point of view of the business. That's what we said in the entity concept. A little bit subtle one, takes a little bit of practice to understand, because in general we are hardwired. The moment we think about the performance of business or how the business is going on, we inherently, or rather very automatically, we start to think from the owner's perspective. Now we are saying that no, we only want to think from the business's perspective, and even owner we want to treat it as a third party, as if we have taken money from them and we have returned money to them. So they will also act as a separate party. This is what we have done in entity concept. So this is where we were in the last class. Before we move ahead, any questions up till here? All good? Okay, so let's get started with the new concepts today. So today we'll study two more concepts. If time remains, maybe one more, but let's see. So the next concepts are concept number 3 and 4. Both of them will study together because they make sense only together. Number 3 is called a going concern concept. Going concern concept. And number 4 is called a cost concept. Going concern. Going concern doesn't mean that a non-stop bother. Here concern means a business. So going concern means that in absence of any reasons to the contrary, a little bit of legal language I'm using to show off. Basically, what we are trying to say is that unless you have reasons to believe otherwise, you assume that the business will continue in foreseeable future. Basically, you assume that the business will continue in foreseeable future. Means you don't have any reasons to believe that it is going to stop in 3 years later or 7 years later. Whatever you can predict, there you can't see the business is shutting down. That's what this concept means. Now, very strange. Why would you need to assume this? Basically, in itself, it is difficult to explain its relevance. That why is it needed? Primarily, it is needed to implement the next one, that is called a cost concept. That's when its relevance gets crystal clear. So to illustrate what going concern is all about, I'll have to explain what cost concept is all about, and then you'll be able to understand both of them together. A cost concept says that as long as going concern concept is met, as long as this one holds true or valid, you can implement the cost concept. And what does it say? It says that you can represent, as a business, you can represent your assets at the cost at which you had acquired them. I'll repeat what we have just now said, or rather I have said, and then if any questions, we'll take it from you. I have said that there is a concept called going concern that says that the default assumption about the business is that it will continue. Why is that needed? That is needed because it is a prerequisite to another concept called cost concept. What does cost concept say? Cost concept says that if you have a business which is going to continue in foreseeable future, then you can represent your assets at the cost at which you had acquired them. As compared to what? As compared to the market price or the resale value. That means you don't need to bother about what is the market price of the different assets. For example, let us say you are a business, take any small business. Let us say I have a furniture shop. Then let's say our shop's name is Mrityunjay Furniture Shop, and the furniture shop has variety of different assets. Let us say it has certain land, it has certain building, it has certain equipment, it has certain machinery. Let us say it has a delivery truck for delivering the final goods. Then all these assets, the moment you have purchased them, let's say somebody asks you the question, let's say just now you have started a brand new business, and just now, for the argument's sake, let us say you have purchased all these assets. You have paid, let's say, 70 lakhs for land, you have paid 21 lakh for the building, and for equipment you have paid 7 lakh rupees. Let us say for machinery you have paid 18 lakh rupees, and for delivery truck you have paid 10 lakh rupees. Let's say this is what you have just now paid, and somebody asks you that how much of an asset you have. What's your answer is going to be? This, that I have land of this much, building of this much, and all different assets of these values. Let us say somebody asks you the same question 2 years later, or 6 months later, or 1 year later. Then what you are going to answer?
Same.
The current market value.
The cost concept says that if you are a going concern, that means you don't need to be bothered about the fear of getting shut down. Then for you, it doesn't matter. For you, you can continue to report them at the cost at which you had acquired these assets. Why? Because you are a going concern, you are going to use them for your business, and you are not even going to sell them off. The difference in the price, let us say by then, let us say you have purchased this equipment for 7 lakh rupees, and suddenly the market price of the same equipment, let us say just the 3 months after you have purchased them, has fallen down to, let's say, 3.5 lakh. So if someone asks you that how much worth of an equipment you have, should you report 7 lakh or should you report 3.5 lakh?
3.5 lakh.
7 lakh.
7 lakh.
7 lakh.
It may emotionally make it very relevant for you to speak that give the value of 3.5. Just try to imagine the kind of businesses like Tata Motors or any big businesses, thousands and thousands of assets. Let us say, apart from running your regular business and apart from performing the regular accounting practices, let us say every quarter one has ended, and now you need to prepare a balance sheet. And now you have given a task to of finding out the market price of all the thousands and thousands of assets you have. For one, it is going to be a very tedious task, and more importantly, it is going to involve, even though if you get it done, let us say you hired some McKinsey people to do it, maybe you will end up paying McKinsey more than the profit you would have made in quarter one. But for argument's sake, let us say you hire them. There is going to be a huge subjectivity when they are going to report the value of this asset. That market price according to who? Market price in which market? Within McKinsey, you talk to 3 people, they will say the market price of this equipment is this value, somebody else will say that value. Same person, if you talk to them in 2 different periods, they will say that no, the market price is not this, it is something else. Huge subjectivity. So basically, going concern is going to save us from all these unnecessary troubles. Why? Because if you are not going to stop in the near future, then you are going to continue using your asset. If you are going to continue using your asset, it doesn't matter whether this asset has become 20 lakh or 500 crore rupees or 10 zillion million, whatever. If you are going to use it, for all that you are concerned, you paid 7 lakh. Okay, we'll have one round of questions and then I'll explain further from here. Yeah, go ahead, Javed, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Actually, in case of equipments, the equipments will eventually we would scrap them, right? And we have to buy the new one.
That we are coming to. Just hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. That is coming just in about 10 minutes or so. Ashish, go ahead.
So I understood that you are doing this because to get the ease of calculation of assets. But eventually what I understood is accounting is used to give to prepare the balance sheet of every year and evaluating the assets. So if you have an equipment, let us say a company, a PSU, let us say HEC, okay, HEC some 50 years old company. They have equipments that old, and suddenly if you are evaluating them as the current market price, then obviously you are giving your shareholders a false sense of bubble that the price is actually that huge, but actually it is not. So isn't it also like deceptive in nature, like if you're understanding what I'm saying?
Okay. Basically, the same question that Javed asked, maybe in a little bit more sophisticated terms. But basically, you are saying that assets have been used up. Where are you accounting for the fact? Okay, fine. Agreed. Go ahead. Same question.
Yeah. Not exactly same, but I have I think this cost we are calculating for the balance sheet purpose. So there is this thing called depreciation calculation, like we write off the price each year. So I heard it somewhere. So isn't it the like in this context of our discussion, or is it something that's
Okay,
beyond?
for the sake of rest of the people, same question. Okay. First, I will explain one jargon. Then I will explain the questions that these three people are asking. One jargon is that very carefully, one of the assets that I avoided. The asset that I avoided was, let us say, apart from this, the reasoning. What is the reasoning that I gave that why you can use them at the cost at which you had acquired them? Because you are a going concern and you are expected to use them up and not sell them off, right? That is why it doesn't matter to you. I will explain why it doesn't matter to you. But there is one piece of asset which may be kept for sale. Those piece of assets are primarily called inventory. So new jargon. This is once again an example of a word which has a very restricted meaning. The word inventory in accounting means one and only thing. It is accumulation of those assets in which the business is primarily dealing. For example, for a furniture shop, those chairs, tables, and pieces of furniture which are held for the purpose of resale, they are called inventory. Let us say it is my Mrityunjay furniture shop and I hold 10 chairs and 15 tables for the purpose of selling them off. Then that table and chair is my inventory. But if let us say 2 chairs are held in my office so that customers can come and sit, those 2 chairs are furniture. Let us say delivery truck. Let us say I am talking about Tata Motors. Let us say Tata Motor is manufacturing delivery trucks and selling them off. Let us say some 50 delivery trucks are lying in their godown for the purpose of sale. Then these delivery trucks for Tata Motors are inventory. But for me, my delivery truck is a different asset. I am going to call it delivery truck. Basically, inventory is a simple word. It is kept for the purpose of separately identifying, just straightforward manner, that what are the accumulation of those assets which the organization is holding for the intention of selling it off in the market, and what are rest of the assets. Why do we want to differentiate? Because the intuition or the interpretation you are going to apply to these chairs versus the interpretation you are going to apply to these chairs is going to be different. That is why, for convenience or for clarity, we have this terminology called inventory. So everybody clear with the term called inventory? What does it mean? Accumulation of those assets which the business is primarily dealing into. Okay. So for example, for furniture shop, all those furniture which are held for the purpose of resale will be called inventory. Okay. Now what I was trying to say here is that in general, those assets which are, let's ignore inventory for the time being. Rest of these assets, because you are a going concern, it doesn't matter to you that whether its market price has moved. To illustrate this, I will take one example. And within this, I would have also taken the example of those issues that people are saying that what about the fact that you have used the setup? Then what about the cost concept? Okay. The basic statement of cost concept is clear to everybody that what we are trying to say. We are trying to say that if you have an asset, you don't need to bother about finding its market price again and again. Let us say, I'm trying to build an example to illustrate the point further. Let us say you are Star Sports and you approach another entity called BCCI. Your Star Sports, you approach BCCI and you make a payment to them. You make a payment of, let's say, 20 crore to them. And what do you get in return? Let us say you get in return the rights to broadcast all the cricket matches of Indian team for 5 years. Okay. Is the example clear? What we are assuming? We are assuming that Star Sports has made a payment of 20 crore to BCCI in return of what? In return of broadcasting right, which will last for 5 years. Okay. Let us say Shivangi is the manager of Star Sports, and somebody is asking Shivangi that, Shivangi, tell us what is the value of this asset called broadcasting rights. First of all, does everybody understand that broadcasting right is an asset for this business, for Star Sports? These kind of assets are called intangible assets. Intangible assets. What is intangible? The corollary of this is a tangible asset. So in a business, you can have tangible assets and intangible assets. Two more jargons because they are very much related. Tangibles are those which you can see, feel, point, touch. You can point out that, okay, there is the table, there is the chair, there is the piece of land. Those are tangible assets. But those which cannot be seen, for example, your broadcasting right, for example, your patent rights, those are intangible assets. So in a business, you can have visible assets as well as invisible assets. So that is not a challenge. What is the challenge here is that, let us say somebody asks the manager that what is the value of the asset called broadcasting right just a minute after that. Let us say Shivangi has just now purchased, and you are asking the manager that what is the value of the asset called broadcasting rights. What your answer is going to be? Anybody just keep so for smaller questions just speak up, no problem.
20 CR.
20 crore rupees, everybody understands? Just now she has come out of the BCCI's office and somebody is asking what is the value of the asset, that is called broadcasting right. What Javed and others are asking is that if somebody asks the same question to the manager after 5 years are over, let's say this is year 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. At this point of time, if someone is asking the manager the same question, what her answer is going to be?
20 crore.
Zero.
5 years are gone. The broadcasting right is gone. You don't have that asset any longer.
We cannot answer it.
No, actually you can. So for the time being, ignore that. I'm trying to teach you a concept called cost concept. Ignore that. Just try to answer the things based on common sense. Common sense says that here you had an asset. It made sense for you to tell that I have an asset worth 20 crore rupees. Now, if 5 years are already over, is there any worth of that piece of paper where you would have received the signature of some BCCI president or somebody? No. It's worthless.
No.
If someone asks you what is the value of the asset at this day, you have to say it is zero because the asset itself is no longer anymore. You don't have any asset. There is no broadcasting right. I think everybody would agree up till here that when you started, you had an asset worth rupees 20. When you ended the 5 years, you don't have the asset any longer. Now there are two questions here. One is, when did it become zero? That is what ship of Jesus or Jesus? There is one conundrum. Somebody just told me the name in the other section. I again forgot. The conundrum was something like this: that there is, let us say, a ship in a museum, one very famous ship. Ignore that. Imagine that this is a ship. Ignore my drawing skills. Let us say there is a ship which has some thousands of pieces, and let us say every year 3-4 pieces get repaired. Let us say it has 3,000 pieces, and every year 3 pieces gets damaged and gets repaired. 1 year is over, 3 pieces got repaired. 2 years is over, 3 more pieces got repaired. After 1,000 years, all the pieces have gotten replaced and repaired. Now somebody is asking, is it the same ship or is it a different ship? What your answer is going to be, the same ship or a different ship? All the pieces are different. Basically, this is a similar kind of a question. I don't want to answer. I don't want an answer to this conundrum. Don't worry. I'm so sorry. basically what we are trying to see is that similarly, the first point was so obvious to us, the last point is also very obvious to us. The question is that when did it become zero? So for that, we are going to make assumptions. One such assumption is that we are going to assume that uniformly every year it kept on reducing in its value. That is one assumption. Fine. Obviously, it means that there would be other assumptions also. Those we will see in our managerial discretion section. But for the time being, let us say that we are saying that, oh, in the year 0, we started with the value of 20 crore rupees, but we need to reduce this value to 0 over 5-year period. So how are we going to do it? Every year, if we keep on reducing it by 4 crore rupees, then that is how we would have done it. This is just one of the ways to do it. There are other ways also that we will see post midterm. But for the time being, assume that we have split this value in the equal terms. So basically what in effect you have done is that you have split the cost of an asset. You have split the cost of an asset over its useful life. That's what you have done. And these fragments or these small values are called depreciation. New jargon, very important jargon. You will keep hearing this again and again in this course. But this is once again an example of those terms which has a considerably restricted meaning in accounting. In day-to-day life, whenever we use the word depreciation, what does it mean? Literal meaning of the word depreciation, anybody?
Decrease in value.
Decrease in value, okay, because of?
Wear and tear.
We have wear and tear in mind. That because the asset has depreciated, by depreciated I mean some wear and tear, some breakup here and there. When we use the depreciation word in financial statement, we have a very restricted meaning. What does it mean? It means allocation of the cost. Allocation of the cost over its useful life, It may be because of wear and tear or maybe not. We don't care.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, Abhi, in the cost concept, you were saying you value the value of you value an asset at the price at which you purchased it. Now in the I mean, so there was no depreciation. Here here you are suddenly saying it we are depreciating the rights.
Yeah.
So I'd like to try to answer this.
It's good that you're having this question. It's the same question I'm still trying to answer. It's almost like an operation is going on, and I have just cut the stomach of the patient open, and suddenly the patient is waking up and saying, I don't see any improvement. You have ruined me. Just hold on. Let me stitch it all up and let me put some medicine in the mouth. Then you will see whether the question gets answered or not. So just hold on for about 2 minutes or so. It's exactly the same question that I'm trying to answer. So basically, I have just now informed you about a terminology called depreciation. What does it mean? This is what it means. Now let me show you that if someone asks the manager that what is the value of the asset, how you are going to respond. Okay, so for that, I'll take another example. Let us say Nishtha was the manager of Star Sports. Okay, let us say Nishtha was the manager of Star Sports and she entered the office of BCCI and she has done this deal. She had paid 20 crore rupees. Okay. Let us say just after she exited the office of BCCI, Arkdeep entered representing 10 sports. And 10 sports did the same deal with BCCI, but this time the deal happened for, let us say, 29 crore rupees. Just 1 minute difference. Theoretically speaking, can happen. Maybe BCCI people like Nishtha and they don't like Arkdeep or whichever way. Or maybe they think that 10 sports has more money, whatever is the reason. But argumentatively, it's possible. Basically, what I want you to witness is that the market price of the asset that Nishtha has changed. Now one question is that if just after Nishtha is coming out of the office, somebody asks the question that what is the value of this asset, everybody has already agreed that she should say 20 crore. My question is, let's say 5 minutes later, she along with everybody else gets to know that Arpdeep has done the same deal and in market, the price of the same asset has gone up to 29 crore rupees. Now someone asks Nishtha that what is the value of the asset that you are holding? What should her answer be?
20.
20.
20.
20
crore.
crore.
The market value.
She is a continuing business. Fine? Because it doesn't matter that Arpdeep is getting it for 29 or for free. How does it matter to her? She has paid 20. So that is why going concern is at most important, that because she will continue to be in this business, she has already spent 20 out of her pocket. So when she is going to use this resource called broadcasting right, for her, the outflow was 20 crore rupees. That is why it makes sense for her to maintain the asset at 20 crore rupees. That is what cost concept says. Now on this, let me superimpose the idea of depreciation. Now, how do you account for the fact that you started with 20 and you end up with 0? This is how you account for the fact. In the year 1, let us say first year is over. Somebody asks the same question to Nishtha. Now, what is the value of the asset? She is going to say that I had a cost of the asset to 20, of which I have consumed 4 crores this year and I am left with only 16 now. So somebody is asking the question to Nishtha, what is the value of the asset? The value has changed. But even in this 16 crore rupees, she is still following the cost concept. How? When she subtracted this 4 crore rupees, she didn't bother to find out the market price. She didn't subtract 4 from 29, for example. 29 minus 4. No, this is not what she did. She continued to hold the cost as a reference. Similarly, in second year, let's say 2 years are over. Somebody asks Nishtha, what is the value of the asset now? She will say, when I started the second year, I had 16 crore worth of broadcasting right. This year, I further consumed 4 crore worth. So now I'm left with only 12 crore. Notice in this calculation, she didn't even bother to inquire that what is the prevailing rate in the market. She didn't do that. That is how you implement cost concept. So cost concept doesn't mean to say that the value of the asset will remain constant. That's not what we are saying. What we are saying is that the basis of all reporting will continue to be the cost at which Nishtha acquired the asset. We will never be bothered about the fact of going to or having to inquire the asset value in the market. That is what cost concept says. So let me complete this illustration. So after second year, she would have said this. Let us say after third year, she would say, I'm only left with 12 crore rupees. If third year is over, then from there 4 crore further she would have subtracted and she would have said, hold on. So from 20 here it becomes 16. From 16 here it becomes 12. From 12 here at the end of third year it becomes 8 crore rupees. Or from 8 at the end of fourth year, she says that I only have 4 crore rupees of the asset left, and that is how at the end of fifth year she is going to say that in the beginning of fifth year I had 4 crore rupees of asset left. I have consumed it completely, so I don't have any asset left. So she will keep on consuming 4 crore rupees every year. That is how she has converted 20 crore to 0. Let me repeat just only in a sentence that there are other ways to do it also. Here we have subtracted it equally. There are other ways also that we will see in managerial discussion section. But this reduction is called depreciation. And you are accounting for the fact that every period I am reducing the value of the asset. How do you apply the cost concept then? The cost concept is getting implemented by the fact that nowhere you need to find out the market price of the asset. You are continuing to reduce that 20 crore of the base value every year.